This week, we learned consumer prices for everything from milk and eggs to gasoline has skyrocketed 11.9% on an annualized basis in the month of October, as millions of workers are dropping out of the workforce because of this bad policy. Everyday items like eggs, bacon, baby food soaring because of all of the free money this administration and the Federal Reserve are serving up. Yet Nancy Pelosi and Bernie Sanders want to spend more of your money, and they'll make sure you pay for it with higher taxes. Joining me right now on the spending negotiations and whether we will see a vote on this bill is Texas Senator Ted Cruz. He sits on the Senate Joint Economic, Judiciary, and Foreign Affairs Committees. Senator, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thanks very much for being here.
Maria, good morning. Good to be with you.
So we understand Joe Biden will sign the infrastructure bill into law tomorrow. Where does the larger, massive spending plan stand now?
Well, that spending plan, they're still negotiating, but I got to tell you, the trillions that are being spent, the trillions in debt that is being racked up, it is historic and not in a good way. It kind of reminds me of that television show, that 70s show. It feels like Joe Biden is Jimmy Carter all over again, and we're seeing skyrocketing inflation. We've seen gas lines. We've seen a Middle East crisis. We've seen hostages. We've seen surrender, in this case in Afghanistan. All of these problems are replicating, and it turns out cause and effect still operates, that when you spend trillions of dollars, you cause inflation. And you know what is stunning about that, Maria? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the rest of the administration, they don't care. You played the clip a moment ago of Jen Psaki laughing about inflation and saying, well, that's really what we want. Look, they want you not to be able to fill up gas in your car. They want your electricity bill to be higher. They want your heating bill to be higher. And the cruelty, of course, it doesn't impact them. The Democratic elites will still fly on their private planes everywhere they go. And the working people, they just say, let them eat cake. And it is really cruel what is happening after spending $1.9 trillion on a so-called COVID relief bill that wasn't COVID relief, and now spending $1.2 trillion on a so-called infrastructure bill, much of which is not infrastructure. They now want to move on to Bernie Sanders' socialist budget. This was the budget that was originally $3.5 trillion, or that was actually closer to 5.5 if you scored it honestly. Where it stands right now is they're battling with Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. They've got 48 Democrats ready to completely bankrupt the country and put trillions of dollars of taxes on the American people. And they have two Democrats who are saying at least tap the brakes, slow down. Every Republican opposes this boondoggle because the American people are paying for it. And unfortunately, we'll have to see if they can get 50 Democrats to agree to do substantially more damage and drive inflation up even more.
There is a report this morning that says Joe Manchin may try to kick this can down the road and push this Build Back Better agenda into 2022. Do you think that there's truth to that? And on that climate summit, it's a good point that you just made, because we did get the scoring of that. And the hypocrisy of it shows that the footprint of that climate conference was double the last one. I mean, the visual of Joe Biden and his 85 vehicle lineup of vehicles in Europe was just beyond. But the question about inflation, Senator, and where this Build Back Better agenda stands, do you think we will see these price hikes continue as we go into Thanksgiving, where we're looking at one of the most expensive meals on record?
Well, they're projecting that this will be the most expensive Thanksgiving we've ever had, because we've seen food prices go up. But, the hypocrisy, Maria, is striking that this administration, the cruelty is the point. They are celebrating that the cost to fill your tank, that when you go and fill your tank in your truck, you're spending $100, $150. They're celebrating because they think that will eventually advance their Green New Deal, their green agenda, at the expense of working people. Now, mind you, the hypocrisy is such, it doesn't impact their life. John Kerry has a private jet that he helpfully explained, for someone like him, it's really the only way to travel. They don't believe this nonsense. The same thing is true with masks, where they demonstrate they're hypocrites. We saw just a week ago Chuck Schumer dancing away in Puerto Rico with no masks in sight. Same thing Barack Obama did in Martha's Vineyard. Same thing Nancy Pelosi did in Northern California. They are very big on rules for the little people, and they view the American people as their subjects, like King George, and they don't apply the rules to themselves. And when it comes to, I think a lot of people across this country are really having buyer's remorse and are shocked, because this is not what Joe Biden campaigned on. This is not, he said he was a reasonable centrist moderate. I got to admit, the Joe Biden that swore me into the Senate 9 years ago, the Joe Biden that a lot of us have known for a long time, we don't know where he is. I mean, we're wondering if that guy is tied up in the basement of the White House, because the people setting the agenda here are radicals. And I think the American people want, the reason we saw such great election results in Virginia and New Jersey are that the American people, both blue states, but the American people said, hold on a second, this is crazy. And I'm here to predict right now, 2022 is going to be a wave election. It's going to be like 2010. Republicans are going to retake the House. They're going to retake the Senate. And the amazing thing is, the crazies in the Democratic Party, their analysis of the solution to Virginia and New Jersey, they say, we need more crazy. We need to go even further. Yeah. This is going to be a difficult year, but I do think we're on the path back, as the American people are really unhappy with the agenda Joe Biden's pushing.
Well, you would have thought that the Democrats saw Virginia and New Jersey as a wake-up call to slow things down. In fact, it's the opposite. You had an opportunity there to stop this whole agenda, but your colleagues decided not to go that path. You had 19 of your colleagues in the Senate vote for the infrastructure package. You had 13 in the House vote for the infrastructure package. What exactly did that do? Now, because they did that, the path is wide open for much higher taxes for the rest of us to pay.
Yes.
Isn't that true?
It's exactly true, and it's maddening. I can tell you, in the Senate, we spent week after week at lunch yelling at each other, with most of the Republicans saying to those who wanted to support this infrastructure bill, why are you doing it? Why are you facilitating the Bernie Sanders socialist budget? They argued, no, if we pass this, it'll make the other less likely to pass. That never made sense to me. The Democrats never made any agreement to that. They didn't say, we won't pursue the Bernie Sanders budget. What they said is, okay, we'll take both. We'll take $1.2 trillion here, and then we'll take $5.5 trillion here. That's what the Democrats said. And I will tell you, in the House, for the House Republicans who voted for this, Joe Biden and the Democrats, their agenda was on the rails. It was failing. It was on the way to going down. And what those Republicans did is they breathed life into it. They gave Joe Biden a political win. He'll now go across the country touting, look at this big bipartisan win. And that additional momentum, unfortunately, makes it more likely that they whip their Democrats into shape and pass some multi-trillion-dollar spending bill on top of this that will include, unfortunately, trillions in new taxes. That's what the stakes are all about. I still hope it doesn't happen, and I hope Joe Manchin does what he suggested, which is to say, hey, let's kick this till next year. Let's wait until inflation is licked, till we've stopped inflation. Then we can talk about the next package. I think that would show a lot of wisdom. That would be a very statesman-like act for Joe Manchin to do.
Well, it seems like Joe Biden has only been able to beat the Republicans, right? He's not beating the Democrats. You've got Saleh Omavar, who is his nominee, saying she wants American companies to go bankrupt. Is she going to get through the Senate process? And then real quick on China, Joe Biden has a call with Xi Jinping tomorrow on Monday. Is he going to roll over again? Where is China policy right now? You've even got the NBA and Enes Kanter once again coming out with these new sneakers, free Tibet sneakers, modern-day slavery sneakers. He is saying it the way it is for the Chinese Communist Party. We're going to show those sneakers here, and yet we still don't have Joe Biden raising the origins of COVID-19 not once in 10 months to Xi Jinping.
Well, on the first question, the banking regulator they put forward, she really is a radical. She literally trained in the Soviet Union. She's argued for nationalizing the banks, having the federal government take over all of the banks in America. And she wants to bankrupt companies across the country. She wants to bankrupt energy companies. She wants to put millions of Americans out of work. It ought to be easy. In any sane world, she should be rejected 100-0. The question comes down to, are there one or two Democrats that will have the courage to break from the herd and tell Joe Biden no? They've done that twice in 10 months on a nominee. We'll see if this is the third. I sure hope so. This is a dangerous nominee. On your second question about China, one of the most disturbing aspects of the last 10 months has been just how willing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are to capitulate to China. And so, you ask, will Biden stand up to Xi? Will he bring up and press China's culpability for the COVID pandemic, for the Wuhan virus and the Wuhan lab from which this virus very likely escaped? I think the chances of that are almost zero, because his pattern with almost every enemy on earth, whether Russia, whether North Korea, whether Iran, whether the Taliban, or whether China, Joe Biden's pattern is just like Jimmy Carter's. It is weakness. It is appeasement. He thinks that if you grovel and give them everything they want, they'll go away and be nice. He doesn't understand that makes tyrants more aggressive. And one of the challenges is the Democratic Party today is structurally pro-China. Their major supporters, big business, big tech, big Hollywood, big universities, are all in bed with China. And that's why Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are as well.
Thank you so much, Senator Ted Cruz. We'll see you soon.